Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Turn this light off. All right. Today I want to pop on here. It's Saturday. It's before noon. And I just wanted to get on here and share a little bit about what I have seen recently in regards to spirituality, spiritual awakening, and a little bit about the New Age movement. So, lack of communication about certain topics leads to a lot of confusion. So being on a spiritual path is different than being spiritual. So 2 years ago or so, when I launched this YouTube channel, I was, in the spiritual awakening movement, if you will. And I have a couple of videos about the New Age movement and how that's actually different from spiritual awakening. So just because someone says that they're spiritual, it doesn't mean that they're on a spiritual path. Okay. So there was a lot of disconnect that I had with people when they would say, "Oh yeah, I'm spiritual." And then I would find out the hard way that they're really not living the same type of life or on the same type of path that I am on. So I think it's very important, especially with all the New Age stuff that's going on, is to be more specific in what we actually mean by being spiritual versus being on a spiritual path. So I wrote down 9 things that I want to briefly talk about. Number 1, anyone can say that they are spiritual. Nowadays, that is the hip thing. Anybody can say that they are spiritual. So that really doesn't mean anything. That's not holding any weight. It's not holding any clout anymore. Just because you say that you are spiritual, to me now, it doesn't really mean much. Anybody can say that. 10 years ago, that was a different story. You didn't really... people weren't really saying that as much. And if they were talking about spirituality, it was in regards to religion, okay? Number 2, you have to keep in mind now that spirituality is now mainstream. It's a trend. It's out there. So chances are people are going to move into these streams, right? Spirituality, the New Age movement, this is now mainstream. So just be aware of that. Number 3, it's hip, it's cool, it's the in thing right now. Meditation, yoga, all that stuff. But be aware, just because somebody meditates or just because somebody does a few yoga classes does not mean that they're on an awakening journey like you are. So don't get your feelings hurt or have unrealistic expectations when you're forming new friendships. I think that this is really important. Number 4, many people do not even know the true origins of what they are doing or what they are practicing. And this is, everybody is subject to this. We don't even know where some of these customs come from. An example like, grabbing a glass of water before you go to bed and putting it at your bed, on your nightstand. That has come from years and years and years ago. It was thought that if you brought a glass of water to your nightstand, then it would absorb negative thoughts and emotions, right? Similar to like a dream catcher. So many of us just grab a glass of water and go to bed with it, but that's where this came from. So it's important to understand, and for the reason of what you're doing, you want to know what you're doing. If you're burning incense of a particular scent like frankincense or myrrh, you want to know what those things traditionally have been used for. You just don't want to burn frankincense and myrrh for no reason, right? There's things that are set in place traditionally and they carry weight. So that was number 4. Many people today do not even know the true origins of what they are practicing and why. Number 5, being on a spiritual path means that you woke up in life. You woke up to your spiritual nature and are actively participating in your awakening. So this is totally different than just being interested in spirituality. Number 6, going to a few yoga classes doesn't mean you're spiritual. Meditating maybe once a week doesn't mean you're spiritual. All of these things have become this, blurred, muddy water. I think yoga is great. I love doing yoga. I think it's a great thing to do, but don't get things confused. And you know what I'm saying? So number 7, true spirituality is living in divine union with yourself and the laws of the universe. It's moving out of an egocentric view of ourselves, an egocentric view of the world, and it is living in divine union with your higher self, merging into your earthly body and living in accordance with the natural laws that God set down, or the laws of nature, the laws of the universe. Number 8, it is making the unconscious conscious. So as higher spiritual forms of light get integrated into our earthly persona, it makes behaviors and traits that were unknown to us known, making the unconscious part of ourselves conscious. Once we become aware of it, once the light hits the darkness, we become illuminated. And then we work on transforming our nature. That is spiritual awakening. Number 9, it is having a passion to transform oneself and fully fulfill your higher spiritual destiny. I'll read that again. Number 9, it is having a passion to transform oneself and fulfill your higher spiritual destiny. So that is completely different than just being interested in light spirituality. True spiritual awakening is having the passion to transform yourself. Many people on this path were rudely awakened or had to change because their behaviors and what they were doing were so far out of line with their soul that it created psychic break from reality. It created a lot of turmoil, a lot of upheaval. And this is a huge area that a lot of people that I know that are, living authentic lives and trying to live this way, they run into a lot of people that say that they're spiritual, but we don't actually know what that actually means. So I wanted to clear that up. And then I have here in parentheses, remember that there's a difference between fate versus destiny. Fate is what happens to most people. Most people are just fated to the lot that they are kind of born into. They work a 9-to-5 job, they do certain things, and they live out this existence. And if you look at an overarching perspective of that scenario, it's kind of sad that we're all just accepted this whole game of work, sleep, get up, do it again, watch a movie for some form of entertainment, and pay bills. And we've just accepted that this is what our lot is in life. So that is what I consider fate. It's where you just accept the system of things, the matrix. Just you accept the general conception, the societal norms. That's fate if you just kind of accept that and just live out your life. Destiny is only achieved by very few people. Very few people actually achieve their spiritual destiny. Their spiritual destiny is the highest purpose for why they have came to this incarnation. Even if you don't believe in reincarnation, it still is the highest spiritual purpose for your life, this lifetime, or just even if you believe that it's just you have this one life, your destiny is the highest spiritual place that you can go. So why this is so important is because people that are fated are in the category of just light spirituality. People that are going to fulfill their spiritual destiny are more in line with a path of self-transformation, self-growth, and all of these things. Now, I'm not saying that people that are interested in spiritual things and spirituality can't eventually move towards this path of spiritual awakening and transformation, but I just want to put these two polarities into your minds because there's a huge disconnect from the New Age movement, spirituality, and spiritual awakening. They're three different things. The New Age movement was formed indirectly from people that were having genuine spiritual experiences. So the core group of people that are having spiritual awakenings, these are the people that indirectly led the New Age movement, because the New Age movement were people that were looking from the outside, looking in at all these people having these spiritual experiences, that were interested in meditation, that were interested in yoga and all of these things, but walking a true spiritual path, doing them because they had to do them. They were on a dedicated spiritual path. The other people in the society looking in on these people thought, oh, what are these people up to? What are they doing? They wanted to learn more about it. So the true awakening crowd or people just naturally that exuded out from them. And people that were having genuine spiritual awakenings were doing all of these things, breath work, the Wim Hof method, all this stuff. And because of that, there was other people that were interested in it. Now, hopefully this is all a good thing, right? Like you could say, well, how is that bad? How is that a bad thing? Well, it's because there are three different groups of people here. Now, from a higher spiritual perspective, we're all one. We're all one. You know, it's like what I'm doing is affecting everybody else, and we all should be collectively, as a whole collective, raising in our level of consciousness. So that is the end goal. But to break down the individual parts and to know what you're talking about, to know what you're doing when you say I'm spiritual or when you say I'm on a spiritual path, these are very important topics that we need to define in our spirituality, and especially when we are talking with other people. Because you could say to me that you're spiritual, and I'm thinking that you're on the same path that I'm on, that you're interested in the same things. And then I meet up with you and it comes to find out that you're not, or that you're just using that as a smoke shield to sell snake oil or something like that. So you see where I'm going with this. This gets into, you know, people using spirituality to push agendas. This gets into manipulation. This gets into sales. This goes very deep. And I made a few videos talking about this, and I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but I wanted to put that out there today and really talk about this. All right. Melissa Garcia, good morning, and what a great video upon the reality of spirituality, which has so much more depth and isn't shallow upon exterior and getting accolades, which is all ego and not being in tuned within soul. Right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Gloria. And I just wanted to put this out there and talk about this today because I myself had suffered from thinking that I was similar to some people, and you know, and come to find out it created a lot of problems once I thought, oh, like these people are cool, like they're like me, like, and I started to hang out with them under the false pretext that I assumed that they were on the same level, that we were interested in the same things. And then it created a lot of kind of turmoil farther on down the road. And, you know, some of those people, they're not in my life because of that reason. And, you know, it's like we should know what we are actually talking about when we say things that you hear in the spiritual community. So I've been very careful more lately than just dropping out blanket terms saying things like spiritual, because what does that really mean? You know what I'm saying? So I think that true spirituality, like I said, is living in divine union with yourself, meaning that you know the ego nature part of you, you know the shadow side of yourself, you know the lower nature, you know what you're capable of. And then it's having the courage and the willpower from your higher self to live a more authentic life, to live more in divine union with your soul self, with the laws of God, the laws of the universe. So I hope you guys got something out of that. I may make a actual production video based on this topic, but it was just something that was on my heart here this morning, and I needed to kind of get it off my chest because I've been seeing a lot of people that are saying something, and then they're not living in accordance with what they are saying or what they are projecting. And this is the true definition of hypocrisy. And hypocrisy is the most detrimental thing to us on our spiritual paths, because if we are saying one thing and doing another, we are moving further away from truth. We're moving further away from authenticity. We have to align ourselves with our actions, thoughts, and deeds. So it's like I always say, if you're going to be a dick, just be a dick, right? Like, you know, I don't have a problem if you're an asshole, but just continue to be an asshole. Don't smile in my face and then, you know, go behind my back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're going to be authentic, I have more respect for somebody that is true to themselves and will ruffle a little feathers rather than smiling, having a fake smile and showing the world something and then not being that person truly when the lights are off and the closet is closed, so to speak. All right. Cool, guys. Hey, Yasmin. Hey, Gloria. What's going on? And if you guys haven't saw my video, a couple videos I have in the pipeline, I'm going to upload those here this week. I got some awesome topics coming up. What else is going on? I launched my Etsy store. I had a live stream the other day about that. And coming up this week, this is a huge topic which I'm going to make a video about, and I can't wait to talk about it. It's spiritual passivism or passivity. So spiritual passivity and how it is so destructive, and it is just rampant in the spiritual community. So just to give you a brief summary of what spiritual passivity is, or passivism, I can't say that very well, but it is this whole idea that we can just sit back and do nothing, right? That everything is as it should be. And it's like love and light. And we would just sit back and everything is going to take care of itself. Or it's this whole notion that, you know, something didn't work out for you. So you say, well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. So I'm going to talk about all of this and how this is destroying the minds of the spiritual community. And it's also opening us up to forms of manipulation. And also it's giving our power away, when we just are passive and we're just saying, oh, well, I guess there's nothing else I can do about it. I guess that's just the way it is. All of these things are very counterproductive to us that are on this path of transformation. So I'm going to have a video coming out this week talking about that. I hope you guys are all doing well. And I wanted to just get on here and briefly talk about that today because, like I said, it's been heavy on the heart. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Gomboki, Halong, Ajan, Gloria, Melissa, thank you guys. Thanks, Yasmin. You guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Peace.